All right. Hi, guys. Welcome back to Gray Area. I am Maria, and we have the wonderful Melle Brown here with us today. Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to
Yeah,
be profiled here in like New York. It's like a dream come true. So thank you so much, guys.
absolutely. Yeah, we're a big fan here in New York.
Oh, love that.
So yeah, we'd like to kick things off by just kind of talking about your past and how your upbringing influenced your love for music and like the how passionate you are about it today. What were your earliest fondest memories regarding music and just like being introduced to all the genres that you do love? We'd love to learn more about that.
Yeah, sure. My earliest memories of music, my granddad has the most insane vinyl collection. We used to go around his house on the weekends and just listen to music, and he'd be swapping out the vinyls, and I'd just be getting used to like looking at all of the different covers and all of the iconic artists through Black music and Black history. And so that was like earliest memories. And then yeah, just driving around London with my mum and my dad in the car, and as a baby, as a child, and they'll just be like playing like different genres from neo soul to house to jazz, and just like there was no escape from it. Do you know what I mean? Like
Always
it
there, yeah.
was loud and it was there, and it was like, it became a part of me. So yeah, that those were probably like my earliest memories of actually being introduced mainly to house and soulful house music at an early age, and just loving the rhythms, but also the soulful chords that kind of like
Mhm.
touch you. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Definitely.
yeah. That was the earliest memories. And then I used to like do singing lessons and like dance classes and stuff. So music and creativity has always been a part of my life. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So yeah, like you would say that obviously music is kind of a leading factor in your entire life. Like it wasn't just like, you heard it all the time because of your family playing it, but you were a dancer and you did singing lessons and everything. So it was literally a part of your life
Yeah.
like 24/7.
Literally, like on the weekend, I used to go to like various different like creative courses, like drama and dance and music production became
Okay.
one later on as well. Because yeah, we had this thing called Camden Summer University, sorry, and that was where like all of the kids from the borough over the summer holidays would just connect and just learn new skills. And I always gravitated to the music ones, and I
Oh,
just love it so much. So yeah.
amazing. That's amazing. And then I guess like my next question is, in terms of like, the way you were saying like music was just kind of always a part of your life and it was always around you, like was there anything in particular, whether it was like your dance lessons or your voice lessons that kind of like inspired you for the reason that you make music now and like how like I'm assuming when you make your music you're like I want people to feel this certain way or I want people to dance a certain way like out on the dance floor like
Yeah.
was there anything in particular that kind of like that inspired that?
I just love the fact that, you can start off a music project with a blank screen and there's nothing there. And then over time, your emotions and how you're feeling at the time just kind of seep into the musicality of the piece. And then all of a sudden, after like an hour or two, you've got a track. Do you know what I mean? And it's
Yeah,
something that you can build upon, and then you can like collaborate with friends, artists, musicians, like you can write poetry to music. There's so much you can do,
yeah,
and it's such a expressive tool, and I think that's why it stuck with me. It was my way of expressing myself when I was younger, and it's funny now because obviously it's turned into a career, but I still would love to keep the expressionism element of it and the fun in it,
in it.
which is why it's so important to just like be in the studio and meet
Yeah,
new people,
yeah.
like collaborate with people. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
I love that. Yeah, and I completely like can see that that was kind of like your vision, like I don't know if you intended it to ever be a career, but I'm a true believer that when you're fond of something and so passionate about it, like it can become of a career because like you're so genuine about it. So
Of
things just kind of like
course, yeah.
come your way. Do you feel like that's kind of what happened with you? along your path?
Definitely. I think I've always been like destined to be in the music industry, whether it be on the business side or the performing side. I've always wanted to perform, although I was a shy kid, but
Yeah.
in order to get my confidence out, my
Yeah.
mum put me with these drama schools and stuff. And so it was only really going one way.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I definitely feel like I've always loved performing and sharing art with people. But it comes with a lot of vulnerability and emotion.
Definitely.
Um, and so there's something really beautiful in, you know, just being able to let go in that moment and just give the art to the world. And if people love it, they do. And if they don't, then they don't.
Yeah,
But you've
exactly.
made something and you're sharing it with the world. And I think that's what's so special about art in general, be it like painting or music or like script writing,
Yeah,
whatever it is. I think there's just so many different layers to creativity.
definitely. I feel like the right people always kind of gravitate towards your art. And
Yeah.
clearly like you're kind of booming in the industry right now, so you're definitely doing something right. People are loving it.
Oh,
So
thank you so much.
yeah.
Thank
So
you.
my next question is, I know you mentioned earlier that you were kind of introduced to house music at a young age, but can you tell us a little bit more about that? Like, was it house music in general, or was it like other types of electronic music that you got
Yeah,
into?
sure. So it was soulful and deep house mainly.
Okay.
Uh back in like I guess the 2000s in London there used to be like house and garage like raves,
Hmm.
and my mum would go to them, or even my dad, and they'd come back with CDs of like recording of the night, and then that's what we would play in the car. So it was always like club culture. Do you know
Okay.
what I mean? I always got to
Yeah.
like experience the club from a young age. Although I actually didn't attend a club until I was like 20, which is really
Okay.
funny.
That's good.
Yeah, like it was always ingrained in terms of like garage,
Mhm.
house, jungle also,
Okay.
and dub, and then yeah, like I I love listening to like Kevin Everett and Eric Roberson and like the neo soul
Yeah.
side of stuff. So yeah, that is like mixing the two. I think that's what has birthed my sound,
Okay.
because that's literally done. I've just literally mixed everything that I heard when I was younger and put it into one thing.
Amazing.
So
And obviously, like your sound is very, very unique, and that's why we love it. I don't really know many artists, that have mixed those specific genres, so that's definitely something that makes you extremely unique. And it's
oh,
amazing what you've done with kind of intertwining all of that.
thanks so much. Yeah, it's just lovely to be able to like express how I hear the world. Do you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
So
And that's
yeah,
that's kind of
yeah,
what music is all about. I feel like it's literally what you said, right? It's like how you view the world, and like how when you're in, like, let's say you're like on a car ride or like a road trip somewhere, and you like hear
yeah.
a specific song and you're like, ooh, this song is like exactly how I feel in this moment.
Feel right
So
now. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
so I
Can't
completely
get
get
any
that.
closer
Yeah.
to it.
I guess my next question is like, if you, this is kind of like a, not a trick question, but like if you could add another genre to your mix, is there like anything that you've maybe thought about adding to your sound?
Yeah, definitely like jungle. A
Okay,
hundred percent.
yeah, I could see that. I
Yeah,
could see that.
I'll take it up a few notches. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I
From
could see
120 BPM to like 140
that.
BPM. Like, why
Okay.
not?
Mix it up a little bit.
Yeah,
Love.
exactly.
And then were there any artists like within, the neo soul, jazz, or house genres that inspired your sound, or like would you say it was just kind of like a mixture of, a bunch of artists?
It was a mixture of a bunch, but like recently I've been learning about the music that I was listening to back then, because I was so young, I didn't really understand artist names and
Okay.
stuff. But like I'll hear music now that I recognize from then. People like Sean McCabe, Kerry Chandler,
Mhm.
Pepin Everett, Larry Heard, or Mr. Fingers. And then there's like Louis Vega and Masters at Work, and Carl Craig, and so
Yeah,
many
the
legends.
OGs. Yeah. Yeah.
And so yeah, it's lovely to be able to know that now, but also find new artists and new women in the scene,
Yes,
which is so important to me.
absolutely.
So like Eliza Rose, and then you've got people like obviously like Honey Dijon,
Yes.
uh, and then there's Gina Jeans, there's this new DJ called Lev, like Ash Lauren. There's so many people that I'm
Yeah.
like really like, yeah, us girls are like taking over and
Yeah,
we
and
need
I love that. I'm here for it.
yeah, so it's really beautiful to see.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And then looking back on kind of like how your career started or like when you were thinking about like should I pursue this full time? Like was there a specific moment in time that kind of like was like your aha moment like, this is what I want to do full time or did it just kind of happen over time?
Um, it was kind of like a gradual process, but I'd probably say the one that was the defining moment was when I had to produce my first musical project, my first
Okay.
EP for my university dissertation.
Okay.
Uh, and you had to do everything from obviously make the music and produce and collaborate with different artists to design in the artwork, and then also like pitching it and
Mhm.
making like a release plan and like
Okay.
press and radio and all different stuff. And I was just so excited. I was like buzzing and I was going out and I was networking with all these different people. And I was like, yeah, like my first EP's coming and like,
Aw.
really getting to. And when I think about it, I was still really quite young and just hungry, and it's an element of myself that I really admire at that age, like around 18, maybe, yeah, maybe even younger, 17,
Right.
18. um to just, yeah, and it's something that I try and hold on to,
Mm-hmm.
because the music industry is not the easiest place to be, but
Really good.
yeah, it's beautiful when you know how and when you got the right team around you, and also when you're doing it for the right reasons. So yeah, I try and hold on to all of that.
Okay, yeah, that's amazing. And then so before you said you decided to go to school for music, right? And that was
Yeah,
when you were 18, you said?
yeah. University, how old was I? I think 2017 was when I
Okay.
graduated. I'm 26 now. So yeah, it was a little while ago.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I feel
and
like
so
yeah, we're probably the same age because I'm 27. So
okay,
probably,
cool.
yeah, so probably you graduated when you were like 22-ish, 21.
Yeah,
That would make
exactly.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was yeah, it was really interesting.
Amazing. And then before that, before you decided to go to school, like for music, did you have any hesitations about pursuing, a career in music someday?
Yeah, definitely, because I think there's so much volumes of music
Yeah.
now, like, and everybody has a right to make music and upload it to the
Mhm.
DSPs and stuff or SoundCloud. And back then, when I was first starting to make music, like I only put my first EP on SoundCloud, and it was a real community, and it was like we was all connected in London,
Yeah.
supporting each other, and yeah, I really loved that community feel. And so that's kind of what kept me going in terms of finances and stuff. I supported my music by working in the music industry, so working in events and volunteering and putting on events for women in music, and yeah, and then I worked at a record label for a little while to support my dreams. So
Okay.
I've always kind of known I want to be in music.
Amazing.
It was just kind of, yeah, how to make it reality and being realistic
Yeah.
about the fact that music doesn't pay for a long time,
Oh, yeah, for
um,
sure.
being an independent artist.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And also, I feel like, being in from the London area or like, near it, it's kind of there's so many connections there. Like you just have to kind of like what you did. You knew like, hey, let me work at a record label or let me work, do events because that's
Yeah.
gonna meet the people that you need to meet in order to get to where you are now. So that's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's it's been an interesting
I
journey.
bet, I bet. But look at you. You're on your way and people are loving you
Oh,
all over the world. So that in itself is amazing.
yeah, this is very surreal, I have to say. Like, I went to New York on a school trip. I went to an art school called the Brit School,
Okay.
and yeah, we went on a school trip to New York, and I was just amazed by like, you know, the culture, the people,
Crazy.
Times
Yeah.
Square, the
Mm-hmm.
creativity that pours like
Mm-hmm.
out of you guys. And so to be speaking to you right now,
Oh.
it's just
Yeah.
really surreal to know that people have heard my music in New York
Yeah.
or outside of my bubble. Do you
Mhm.
know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's like
Yeah.
it's
Well, hopefully soon we can get you over here so you could play a
yeah,
show.
I'd
That would
love
be so
to.
amazing. We'll get on that. We'll get on that.
Yeah, you really
Yeah.
will.
So ever since, you were done with school and you were kind of like figuring out, what to do next, can you tell us a little bit more about, how you got your first gig and like your official track list? I know you mentioned the EP earlier, but that was for a school project, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so how did you manage to kind of get like your official track release after that and also like any first gigs that you can remember? We would love to learn more about that.
Of course. So I remember the very first gig that I played. So one second. So let me skip back a bit. I had a radio show on Reprezent Radio,
Okay.
um, with my co-host Blue Canarinho, and it was called the Brown and Blue Show. And we would interview loads of different artists from the soulful electronic scene. And we would call it the home of New Age Smooth. So we would be like constantly in the scene, collaborating with people, meeting new people. And through that and through like, you know, practicing DJing on the show and stuff, I landed my first gig with a lovely producer who I'm in awe of. Her name's Alka,
Okay.
um, ELKKA.
Mhm.
And she started this collective called Femme Culture.
Okay.
They put on their very first event in Hackney. And it was just, yeah, it was incredible. It was an
That's
all-female lineup,
amazing.
and it was my very first gig. Like I hadn't DJ'd ever before. Do you know what I mean? And so
That's crazy.
yeah, to even have that opportunity and for her to see so much talent in all of us, which is really interesting because everyone she had on that lineup is all doing their thing. Like we're all like, yeah, living a dream of being
Yeah.
DJs and you know making our own music and stuff. And so yeah, I look back on that night now and I'm just filled with so much love and respect. And yeah, she's a talented woman. She should be an A&R because
It sounds
she
good.
had
Yeah.
her ear to the ground and she
Love that.
yeah she knew the right people to put on the lineup.
That's
So
amazing. Yeah.
that's
And
good.
do you still talk to her as of like today?
Yeah, actually, I saw her on the bank holiday weekend. It was
Oh,
so
nice.
funny. We went to a house party,
Ooh,
not intentionally together. I just bumped into her
that's
there,
how
and I
life
was
works. Yep.
yeah, and I also bumped into her like 3 weeks ago at a festival randomly, and so the universe keeps connecting us back together, which is so lovely. And so yeah, I'm really grateful for that. But yeah.
Yeah, amazing. And then, since you just mentioned being on resident radio, you're still doing that, correct?
Yeah, I'm still on on Reprezent Radio, bi-weekly, always putting on the smoothest in deep and soulful house.
Amazing.
And yeah, loving every second of it. I've managed to interview some really cool people and have had guests like Anane Vega and Malvo Baptiste and yeah, many more to come. So I'm
Amazing.
really excited for like what the rest of the year holds.
Yeah, do you maybe like eventually want to maybe start your own radio show? Is that something that you're interested in, or do you think you'll just stick with doing that for a while?
I mean, Represent Radio is my own radio show.
Okay,
I'm just it's just a station that like I broadcast on.
I see.
But
Yep.
I would love to be able to create a platform of my own,
Okay, yeah, that
uh,
would be sick.
where I can also support up and coming artists,
Hmm.
which I do have through. Sorry, it's I'm like going off on a tangent
No
now, but I've
worries,
got
no worries.
a platform called Melody Agency.
Yes.
Um, and so that basically supports up and coming artists with radio plugging.
Okay.
Um, so I'd love to be able to tie in some kind of radio platform with Melody.
Like intertwined in some way.
Yeah, to give people you know, another platform.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. I love what you're doing, honestly. Like not many artists are doing what you're doing, and I really think it's incredible. So
Oh, thank you, Maria. It means so much. Honestly,
yeah,
I'm gonna get emotional.
hey, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly. Oh.
Um, yeah, so I know speaking of projects, earlier this month, this we're in August, right? I don't even know what month we're in. I'm like all over the
Yeah.
place. I know that you did a remix for one of Diplo's songs, correct?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
correct.
So I
Yeah.
wanted to just kind of learn a little bit more about that and how that came to be and like your relationship with him in regards to that.
Yeah, of course. So Diplo's music is like a staple for I think our century. Like, do you know
Mm.
what I mean? Like
Oh yeah.
he's so versatile. And some of the tracks he's produced from MIA to like Sia is just
Mhm.
insane. And then his own music as well. But yeah, it's weird because I never thought I would be able to say that I've done a remix for him, but because of like the way the industry works in London, I think I've been fortunate enough to connect with the right people in terms of like A&Rs and stuff, and people who have
Mhm.
loved my music and just have kind of kept me on the radar. And so that's kind of what happened. His
Okay.
label, um, yeah, was just loved my most recent release, Feel About You, featuring Annie Mac. And yeah, they said if I would be up for
That's
doing a
amazing.
remix.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Why
oh my
would
gosh.
yeah, why would you
At
say no
first
to
I was
that?
like, can I do this? And then and then I was like, actually, I'm gonna try and do this. And I did it and it sounds great. I really think it does. I'm actually
Yeah,
really
I
proud of
did too. Yeah, I listened to it. I really liked it too. And obviously, if they reached out to you to do a remix for one of Diplo's songs, like that in itself
it.
volumes about you and your talent. So
And then like it was over like the bank holiday kind of weekend, and so we had to wait a little while to hear back, and I was like so nervous. And they came back and I was like, yeah, Diplo and team love it. And I was like, what, like he's actually heard my music, like
yeah, that's
this is wild.
crazy. It's crazy.
um
Crazy how life works, right?
and I respect so many of the artists that are on that remix
Hmm.
project, the album. It's like yeah, people like Honey Love and
Yeah.
yeah, Purple Machine, like people that I've actually like listened to,
Okay.
like
Yeah,
wild.
I know. And then there's you doing that along with them. That's
I
crazy.
know, that's what I'm saying. Doesn't feel good
Well, it is.
sometimes.
Yeah. And then my next question for you is, ever since you kind of started this whole, kind of like pursuit to, do music full time and like become this incredible artist in the, electronic music industry, would you say that your artistic vision has changed from when you first started? Like, have you changed as a person, like overall?
I think I definitely think when I first started, I was a lot more experimental
Okay.
in sound. And so that's something that I've like like realized and have brought back over the years. I think like during the COVID pandemic and everything that was going on, I got a little bit deflated and so my sound kind of changed.
Mm.
But then like coming out of the lockdowns and feeling inspired again, I started to hear the creativity and the experimentalness came back. And so my release Brown Eyes and then One More Chance, and like it's starting to like feel so much more like me than I ever have. And so yeah, I'm really excited to like keep blending the genres and just be a bit different with
Yeah.
the sound that I make. And in terms of me as a person, yeah, it's wild. I think I have grown from strength to strength. I think I've become a lot more confident as a person, but I don't think I've given myself enough I don't think I've like I don't think I've like if I was me, like if I was to look at where I am now as a younger version of myself, I would be like, oh my goodness, like you've done this.
Yeah.
But like me as myself now today, I don't feel like I give myself enough like enough, I don't want to say credit because that's not the right word, but
No,
I
yeah.
think I just need to embrace more of what I've done and then put it back into the music basically, and just be proud of the journey because has
Of
been
course.
a
Yeah,
long one.
I bet it's been a long journey, but like it's your hard work has definitely paid off because like I mentioned, like the fact that your sound is so big, like not only like in London where you're from, but like people all over the world are listening to your music, like people in Australia,
Yeah,
people in the States, like it's like you're really making an impression on people and that's what it's about.
thank you, Maria. Honestly, it means more than I
Of
can
course,
say.
of course.
Yeah.
And then, okay, my last question for you is, I know it's hard because your sound is so versatile, but if you could describe your sound in just one word, what would it be?
One word.
Oh, I
Oh
think
God.
that's a hard one.
One word. Oh, I would probably say, oh,
Or two, if you want to mix
I'd
two.
like to say universal
Okay,
or eclectic.
okay, love
They're
that.
the first two words that come to my head.
Yeah, no, it is. I think anyone can resonate with your music just because you mix so many genres into it, it's like so easy for a lot
Yeah.
of people, whether they don't know about how, like some people don't really know much about house music, but like they love jazz, like they're gonna love your music, and vice versa. So I think, yeah, I think that's a good way to describe your music for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. You had me there. I was like,
Well, I
one
know
word.
it's a trick question, but I like to ask it because it's just interesting to see like what.
It's nice. Great
Yeah.
question. So,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
Of course.
Oh,
So at the end of our interviews, we do this thing called the speed round. They're just like super random, like rapid fire questions. Like they're
okay,
really,
cool.
really random. So just kind of say which one you prefer, okay?
Okay, cool.
All right.
Ready.
So Ministry of Sound or Printworks?
That was really hard.
Have to pick one.
I would probably say Ministry of Sound.
Okay. Okay. Amazing. If you had to either pick between like perform DJing at a club like performance or a festival performance, which one would you pick?
These are really good questions. I'd say a club.
Okay. Do you prefer a daytime like set time slot or a nighttime?
Nighttime.
Nighttime. Okay. If you had to move to the States, would you choose to live in New York City or LA?
New York.
Okay, that's a good answer.
100%.
Yeah. SoundCloud or Spotify?
Spotify.
Okay. Instagram or Twitter?
Instagram.
Okay. Wine or beer?
Wine.
Okay. And then my last one is it's like a would you rather question. Would you rather have the ability to see 10 years into your own future or 6 months into the future of like the rest of the world?
Oh my goodness. You're trying to explode my brain.
Of
10
course.
years into my own future or
Okay.
6 months into the future of the world?
The world, yeah.
I'd say 6 months into the future of the world,
Yeah, yeah.
Because I think present day me wouldn't be able to deal with seeing me 10 years
yeah,
down the line.
definitely.
What's changed and how my surroundings have changed and who I'm, it's more family and like everyone. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I wouldn't be 10 years because that would freak me out.
yeah. I agree completely. I would choose the same answer you did.
Yeah, thanks. I'd rather not know. So yeah.